actually going to take more than chanting Ruto must go at clubs and concerts. It's going to take more than pushing those hashtags on social media. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But we'll need to actively invest in this revolution. It just can't be lip service. We'll need to commit ourselves to organizing and mobilizing. And we'll also need to invest in showing the average voter, the average Kenyan, why it's important. This cause of ours is important. And I say this because we want to occupy everywhere, but the places which would have the most impact, which is the streets. We've been infiltrated, and now everyone has sown the seeds of distrust. We can't listen to each other anymore. We are no longer tolerant of differing voices. We think that we have to do the things the exact same way people do it. So now we want to occupy churches and chant Ruto must go. No effect. We want to go in open fields. We want to... Now I've even seen that people are suggesting that we should occupy the Standard Marathon. A thing which families go to. A thing where we know there will be children. And you know how rogue some of these policemen and women are. They've shown that they're not afraid to kill. You think they would be afraid to tear gas children? We saw them. We saw what happened to children in schools. We need to do better. I know the streets are calling, and we cannot wait for this revolution. We need to have a bullet revolution or a ballot revolution. But based on how we are behaving, based on what we've decided to reduce this to, based on the sympathies we're having on tribal bigots, based on our lack of investment. I met somebody the other day, and they were telling me that they're disappointed in me, and I was asking her what she's done for the country, and she told me, no, I was working, I was in the office busy. It's that entitlement, it's that sense of self-importance that makes this really difficult to achieve. It's going to be doable, but it also has to be inclusive. So you find a place that works for you. Personally, I found a place that works for me after carefully analyzing the organizations that I found myself around. And I was like, these people are not committed to true change. We need to remember what actually took us to the streets. And this is the part which we missed. We were united on the issues, and then we thought those issues could be ideologies. Let's find an issue. If it's a presidency, let's lobby parliament to do it. Let's recall a few MPs. But we cannot do that through just empty sloganeering. And now it's getting to the point where we're not even inspiring hope to the average Kenyan, where we just want to close down their businesses and not tell them what exactly we're closing it for. This whole sympathy farming that the impeached deputy president has been doing, it's working on some Kenyans. Because I remember I was in Thika the other day, and they told me they actually want their man Ricky G back. We can do better than pay lip service to our revolution. As I always say, the goal is unity, not uniformity. Vuta kwako, mimi nivute kwangu, takutana mbele. But if we're truly a leaderless movement, it cannot be that we want to have groupthink. We want to think the exact same way, say the exact same things. We ought to diversify and be more inclusive and find voices of people who've been in revolutions before, and find ways to partner to build this new republic which we seek. Let's occupy, but also let's let it not just be an inconvenience to the people, to the electorate. The clubs which we go to shout in, the politicians are never there. They don't come to our concerts. They don't come to those churches. They don't come to the freaking runs. We can do better. I know we can. And I know there are a lot of people who are interested in doing better. So let's actually do it. Build the muscle. Let's pull back, reflect, ask ourselves, how can we run more successful protests? And when the time comes, I promise you, I'm going to be there, right there in the front lines where I belong, with nobody's permission but our material conditions. We have nothing to lose but our miserable lives, guys. Inawezekana. So you choose whether you want to liberate the country or you want to stay there and involve yourself in petty online gossip. Now that we turned the Gen Z uprising into a blame contest, what role have the academicians been playing? Yeah, because everybody quotes people who wrote before. What are they doing apart from being keyboard warriors? What you with your masters, what are you doing? What contribution have you made? You with your PhD, what are your professors doing? I'll take two because I've seen them throw snide remarks at me. There's one professor who got famous for trolling a student, and another one because he is always whining about masala tea. Right, listen, both which are very high callings. Let me tell you, I enjoy a good troll, and I enjoy my tea, my herbal teas. Apart from talking, because these people are always talking about decolonize. How can you decolonize a colonial system? These are the people who cannot even rally their students for a function. They cannot even call for protests. For example, a lady professor, when Akina Wangari Maathai were camping at Uhuru Park for months on end, a lady professor who now all they want to do is rant on Facebook or Twitter. That's all they want to do. A male professor, these are the Jama, his work is just gallivanting the globe. He wants to say that I went to Europe and I injected. These people never show up to the streets. They believe that this work needs to be outsourced, that we are the ones supposed to be doing the work in the front lines. They sit back and they write for us analysis. These are people who can't even, they keep on saying education is bad, and if they rallied together, they would have changed the educational system. Oh, something is happening here in these departments, but they could have changed it if they wanted to. These are the biggest enablers of status quo. They write well and nini, and then they come and say English is not a measure of intelligence when they're criticizing the young people. What were you doing? What are you doing? You as a professor, you've sat down at home. You're just bitter. The dons, you saw the dons striking. The dons, if these dons were actually doing the work of impacting the people, we would have been on the streets with them. But how many of you loved the lecturers who taught you in campus? How many of you can say that these people were out to impart an education and not try to trauma dump? Yeah, so the whole country is in shambles. These people, all they can do is sit down and write long types, essays or think pieces on social media. But when the time for the actual action comes, they are nowhere to be seen. Do better. If you're an academician, if you're an educator, these professors, I could equate you to a teacher of music who cannot run an orchestra. Yes, you cannot rally people behind your ideas. Then all you want to do is throw tantrums that the people are not conducting themselves as they should have in page 973 of your East African Review. Just get out of here. Can you actually start doing the things and just stop yapping? Do the things, and then you're not even generous with your information. You hide them behind paywalls and you keep on saying, but we've been saying this for years. Not everybody attended your class. If you're too weak to attend protests, then make this information freely available and do it. Stop looking for engagement farming. You do your role. Not all of us have to go viral. If anything, virality huwa inaisha. Do the things. If you're consistent to whatever it is that you've been saying, it will pay off. But this time, don't come to lecture us and you don't show up on the streets. Don't come to tell us that we should nini your policies, and you're not even friendly. People cannot approach you and sit down and have a conversation to try and see. So you're not interested in pouring into the new talent. What you're trying to do is to prove that because this is what I wrote, this is how they're behaving. Of course, human beings are going to behave predictably. You're not special for figuring out the fact that a young man is prone to mess up. It's a young man. What is he supposed to be doing? You are still messing up, and you're 30. Okay, you're 50 or 60. Do better in your profession. This one is to the professors. Y'all be safe though. Shout out to my college VC. He was cool. Professor Abdul is doing the good thing. And what other professors were really cool and walked the talk when I was on campus? Gabriel Musungu the late always walked the talk. Yes, he was a revolutionary in music. You ask yourself, what are you revolutionizing? And if not, stop shitting on the work that we're doing. Just do better. Educate your peers. We'll figure out what our dance looks like, and we'll write new music. And when the time comes, we'll teach you how to dance. For now, stick to your keyboard warrior traits or being an armchair. At this point, I'm just being bitter. Let me end this video. Jam, bure.